It has recently come to my attention that I cannot do accents very well, but also that some people honestly believe that white people can't experience racism. Not that it's rare, not that they receive less of it, but literally that they cannot experience racism. Apparently there's a gene in the white body that makes them immune to racism. Before I go on talking about how dumb this is, let me show you why I'm talking about this in the first place. Basically, someone called Philip DeFranco a racist for using the word ratchet, and now while I'm pretty sure that Philip DeFranco is not racist, this video is not about defending him. It's actually not about him at all, it's about the dumb people who made stupid comments after Phil admittedly reacted poorly to the criticism. So this person said, "I get that, dude, just be more open to criticism. You don't know what racism feels like." So like any sarcastic person would answer, Philip DeFranco answered saying, "Because I'm white, right?" So that's pretty ironic, you get that? And that should really be the end of it, because there's really no racism going on here, just a little back and forth. But this person had to answer with, "Yes, because you're white. You can be discriminated against, but not suffer racism. Racism is institutionalized." At that point, I had to join in and put my 2 cents in, and then I didn't put any money, because, you know, why would I put money into this discussion? It's not worth even 2 cents, but I put some words inside. I said racism against white people in North America is not as common, but saying white people can't suffer racism is just dumb. So, you know, I say it like I call it like I see it. You know what I mean, bro? And then this person answered, "I guess it depends on what definition you agree with. No big deal." What? Now correct me if I'm wrong, but if you feel like a race is superior, if you look down on any race, that's racist, right? It doesn't matter depending on definition. No, that's racist. And if you manifest that in outward ways, the people on the receiving end are experiencing racism. No? I basically said that, of course using my 140 character limit, that goes without saying, and I thought that was the end of it, but silly me for thinking that common sense would prevail. At that point, somebody else joined in the conversation and said, "No, if you're a white North American, you've never experienced racism. Maybe discrimination, but that's rare." Maybe discrimination? What the heck? Yes, you can discriminate against someone for things other than their race, but racism manifests itself primarily as discrimination. If you've been discriminated against because of your race, you've experienced racism, yes, even if you're white, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I will admit that white people do receive a more favorable view from the eyes of the law and the government and the general public sometimes. That hate crimes are more common against black people and other races. But to say that white people are completely removed from receiving racism, that's not only dumb, it's dangerous. Why do many Americans pretend to be Canadian when they travel? Racism. If you don't believe there's racism against white people, just look up racism in Zimbabwe. But these people are talking about North America because, you know, in North America white people poop gold and everything is perfect for them. But there is racism against white people in North America, and even hate crimes. Here are just a few I found. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Upset about racial name calling that occurred earlier that night, several black men savagely beat a random white man who had nothing to do with the incident. He slipped away from the attackers, but then they forced him to swim into a lake to escape. He drowned. The 3 men were sentenced to less than 3 years in jail. Massachusetts. 4 black men decided to murder the next white person they saw. That unlucky soul was a college student from Boston, whom they stabbed to death. Indiana, a black man was arrested for killing 7 white people with a shotgun. He explained that he murdered his victims due to deep-rooted hatred of white people. Last but not least, in New York City, in a Midtown office, a white woman was assaulted, raped, and anally raped by a black man who called her racist names during the attack. But don't worry, police refused to label it as a hate crime, so it's definitely not racist. This is not a competition. This is not about me trying to prove my point, right? This is about trying to change that mentality that white people are always the racist and that other races are the victims. That mentality makes you turn a blind eye to the hatred growing around you, and if everyone turns a blind eye, it's gonna get out of hand. It's gonna get legs and start running wild, and other body part metaphors. But more importantly, that feeling that white people can't suffer racism may not be racist in and of itself, but it is a feeling of inferiority, a certain kind of oppression. It makes you feel like a victim, and that can turn into racism. Honestly, I feel like that's one of the main causes of racism against white people in North America. Minorities feel like white people are more privileged, like they can get away with more, like they look down on everyone else, and that contempt turns into hate, which yields fruits of racism. As a non-white person who has been discriminated against for not being white by white people, I felt like this was important for me to say. Because even though I do agree that in a lot of cases white people do have it easier, I am opposed to racism of any kind. Let's spread love and truth, not hate and lies that ultimately destroy the possibility of a harmonious future. See you later, crocodile.